I'm hoping that we're live. I can see that people are joining. Hello. Great. Will there be a comment that I am actually live? Nope, let's just start. Hello, I'm Clarissa. I run Papergang Theatre. Thank you to the King's Head Theatre for inviting me to take part at the King's Head Online session this afternoon. Please comment. Oh, hello. Yes, we are live. Ha, thank goodness. Please comment and ask questions, as we go along. And as we are waiting for people to join, I thought I'd plug a few things that that you could join. For example, Ruma, which is run by Kai, is holding a series of digital workshops on producing over the next 4 weeks, starting tomorrow. So if you want to know more about producing, yes, you can ask me today and comment. But also, Ruma is organizing digital workshops. Tomorrow is free, I think, and then after that, it's a small fee. So do look them up. It's at rumor.kai on Instagram. Also coming up is From the Rooftop, which is a showcase of East Asian talent produced by Exit Pursued by Panda, which is run by Adrian Tang. And it's part of the Reading Fringe Festival from the 17th of July. Extant is also producing an animation of flight paths, which is set in medieval Japan with the Godsei. I might have mispronounced that. I apologize. They are blind female storytellers and musicians who tell stories of travel blindness and migration, and it's narrated by Ayama Nakamura. Also coming up is Meniscus Going Online by Ghost and John. It's on the 17th and 18th of July, and it's an interactive performance and game. So it's something they've adapted from their live performance, and I can really recommend it. Look them up. Meniscus Going Online by Ghost and John. Oh yeah, also A Few Sips With, which is an Instagram interview series by Jeremy Ang Jones, which I can greatly recommend. He's interviewing East Asian actors on Instagram Live, and I think he's doing that every week. So I think the next one is Zachary Hing. So check them out, A Few Sips With. And a few things that you can catch up with if you have missed it is one of them is We Are Not Virus by Moongate Productions, Jennifer Lim and Daniel York-Lowe, which is hosted on the YouTube page of Omnibus Theatre and the wonderful Marie. It's still there. Yeah, so look that up. It's a collection of pieces by East Asian actors and artists around COVID racism. And then lastly, it's Babel, which is written by Lucy Chow Lai Tien and directed by Mingyu Lin, Google Arts Ed and Babel. It's an example how digital theatre work can be really effective. It is something that I know they had to pivot. It was something that was written for a showcase of Arts Ed, and Babel is a really excellent example of how digital work can be super effective. Where are we? 4 minutes. I think we should start in a bit. Please comment and ask questions. Be nice. I'm nervous about this if you haven't noticed. But yeah, let's start. My name is Clarissa. I'm a producer and run Papergang Theatre, which is a company that platforms East Asian and British East Asian and East Asian diaspora stories. And I'm one of the co-founders of the company, which was set up in 2013 as a writers collective after we attended the Unheard Voices Writers Group at the Royal Court Theatre. And the aim has always been to increase East Asian representation in the theatre sector. I actually studied theatre initially alongside English, doing a BA at the University of Plymouth, and then an MA at Advanced Theatre Practice at Central School of Speech and Drama before before I became Royal. I trained as a performer, and I tried auditioning for a year, but I'm Dutch and I don't speak any Asian languages. So if you look like this, it's difficult, and I found it really disheartening. So yeah, then it was about 2008, and the recession had hit, and I was looking for a job. If you look at my CV, it's incredibly eclectic. I've been a publishing assistant, I've been a social media moderator, I worked in cafes, I worked night shifts at the call center. I always feel like I took the long way around, but simultaneously, as I was prepping for this, I also think, you know, I had a goal, and I had choices, and that led me here. But if you are a graduate just coming out of education, mid-pandemic, I sympathize. I completely sympathize, and I have no words other than hang on in there, really, and reach out to people and create a network, and find the support that you need. What does my working day-to-day life look like now? Well, we're at home. I run Papergang Theatre as my company, and usually this is done on a project-by-project basis, which means that I search for funding for every project that we do, and I pay myself through this. I put a budget line in on the budget for myself. And usually the funding comes from the Arts Council, and we managed to get Arts Council funding from the last two projects: Invisible Harmony, which was performed at the Purcell Room, the South Bank Center for One Night as part of China Arts Now Festival, and Freedom High, which we managed to perform at the very last week of the Vaults, which seems really surreal now. I mean, we finished on the 16th of March, and a week later we went into lockdown. We managed to win the Show of the Week award, which was really lovely. So I had a really good feeling finishing that, despite it being such a strange circumstance, I suppose. During the lockdown, I applied for Arts Council emergency funding to pay myself and my associate director, Kim Pierce. We work part-time on the company, and we support the project Asian Pirate Musical. We're also working on Imagination, which is a project by Theatre Centre and Theatre 503. And on top of that, I also work a day a week as a manager of the London Theatre Consortium, which is a consortium of 14 subsidized theatres in London. And I have an 18-month-old son. So yeah, I juggle a lot of different things. Yeah, before we go into the subject and the topic really of this chat, I'd like to encourage you to ask any questions, any comments. I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. Yeah, so I wanted to share more about how I got to run a theatre company, how I developed it, or how we developed this, because it's definitely not something that you do by yourself. And if there's interest, perhaps, and time, a bit about being a parent working in theatre, but I'm also very aware of my audience, and it might not be on your radar right now. I have notes, so if you see me like do this, it's because I have a few notes that help me stay on track in this chat, I suppose. So yeah, I trained as a performer, and I wasn't enjoying it. It also didn't help that I was doing a string of dead-end jobs at the time, like waitressing, cafe jobs, and by the time I really wanted to find a real job, the recession hit, and I took on a job in a call center, and I was working like night shifts, like 3 days, a whole week in 3 days, and that was sold to me like, oh, you can do your theater work around it. You can't. if you are miserable, you can't. And yeah, I think that is one thing I've learned. It's really trying to find the thing. Life's too short. I appreciate that we all need to make money, and I appreciate that we uh, need to stay afloat. But if something makes you that miserable, you can't pursue the thing you're passionate about, try to find something else. And by the time I joined the writers group from which Papergang Theatre would grow in the end, I worked as an editorial assistant, and I was writing a bit. And I mean, I was working for Asda magazine. It's not like high-end fashion, but writing meant that that it made me realize that if I don't see the stories out there that resonate with me, maybe I should write them myself. So I signed up for the Unearthed Voices writers group of the Royal Court Theatre, who were at the time actively advertising for East Asian writers. And it was the first time I played the race card, which was a big step for me, because I always thought that if I was good enough, then people would hire me. And I think over the years I've come to realize how this is just not true. That's not how theatre works. Theatre is a very wide environment, and it has implications. But I'm really glad that I joined this group, because I suddenly met all these like-minded people of the British East Asian artist community, and I realized quickly that it's very small, and they all seem to know each other. And I have to say, I feel very lucky that to see it grow, because there's all these amazing graduates who are coming up in different branches of the industry, and it's really exciting to see that change. But yeah, meeting the people in that group was a real turning point for me. I found a community that I instantly felt comfortable with, who understood what I experienced in life. I mean, I grew up in a small town with a mostly white population, and there is a duality in growing up in an East Asian family and living in a white Western society. So it was really nice to find my tribe, I suppose. And after this course finished, we wanted to continue as a company, as a collective. And actually, that was the easy part. We were really good at setting up the company limited, opening the bank account. But the bank account was empty for about the first 2 to 3 years, I think, as we tried to find projects and find our feet. And not having had experience in setting up all these events, I really learned on the job. So yeah, I mean that really was something. Gosh, made a gazillion mistakes, but I was also very lucky to have been supported by so many generous people within the British East Asian community who've given their time, their advice. Actors who've worked with us for cake and Kinder eggs, writers who trusted us with their writing. Yeah, it really was. If I look back on it, the steps are so small, but it really helped me develop myself and the company to where we are now. I mean, my confidence grew, and I was looking actively for development opportunities. By doing all these different projects, which we set up ourselves, I also landed my first theatre job at Applecart Arts, which is a community arts centre at Upton Park. And I always say I took the long way around into a proper theatre job, but as I was prepping for this, it made me realize that really what it was, I was just focused on what I wanted to do. I really wanted to set Papergang up as a functioning company, and so I was looking for opportunities that allowed me to do that, to keep my focus on setting up this company that I feel very strongly about and feel very passionate about, because I feel it's an opportunity to display and support British East Asian stories and work, and get proper representation on stage and perhaps media. So after a few years, about 5 years, I think, Simon Lai, who was the first artistic director, who is now on our board, we decided that if we wanted to continue, we had to create a sort of sustainability, and we wanted to convert into a charity to access different funding streams. Apologies. And we were lucky to get a board together. They cover a lot of scope, and one of our board members has contacts with a solicitor's firm, and they helped us set up pro bono, which actually, it took a long time. It took a year. And during this year, I fell pregnant, which wasn't necessarily planned, but it was like exciting and daunting, mostly daunting, because I didn't know a lot of people who were working in the theatre industry who also had children. I mean, you work a lot of evenings. It's very like project by project. It's up and down. So I was really, really pleased to be on this program, which was called Leaders of Tomorrow, which was led by Natalie Ibu, and she put me in touch with other women in the theatre industry who had children, and it was really nice. Again, it was really comforting to find people who are in a similar position and who understand your fears and who understand the challenges within that. And people have loads of advice. One of the best pieces of advice is make sure you don't have babies with a dickhead, which is solid advice. And I'm really pleased that my partner enjoys parenting his son too, and this is why this works. One of the things that I felt daunted, that was daunted by, was like, can I still do my work? But I managed to still work till quite late into my pregnancy. I was still running a festival at Applecart at the time. The Diversity School Initiative invited me to run a workshop on diversity, racial diversity in drama schools. And I like to mention Stephen and Mumba and Mami, who really pulled that card for changing the conversation in drama schools before it was a movement. I mean, I know now it's a big thing that was it has been triggered forward by Black Lives Matter, but Stephen, Mumba and Mami really started that conversation way back. And so I did the workshop with them when I was 38 weeks pregnant. When my son was born, I presented my part of the workshop with the baby in the sling. And I think it's really important to show that to show yourself out there as a parent, as a parent working in the industry, because as somebody said, you cannot be what you cannot see. It's something that completely scares me. I mean, this is also completely out of my comfort zone, but I want to talk about it because I feel it's really important for people who might find themselves in a position and aren't quite sure how to continue in theatre once they're a parent, or whether that's even possible. It is possible. Yeah, so Papergang returned last year when I had a 6-month-old, and I was massively supported by my associate director, Kim Pierce, in the round of the projects. She babysat whilst I was doing funding applications. We opened our new work with a 5-hour-long event at the Omnibus Theatre to commemorate the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre and the 89th Democratic Movement. It was around that time that the Hong Kong protests started as well, and everything just kind of came together. It happened together. We created new projects from the initial Omnibus event. A short piece got commissioned by China Arts Now, which turned into Invisible Harmony, which was a collaboration between Julia Cheng and she and Daniel York Low. It sold out of a cell room, which was great. And then straight after that, we went into Freedom High, which was all about the Hong Kong protest, and we worked with amazing Hong Kong artists and British East Asian artists to talk about East Asian resistance. It was a multi-art show, multi-art form show, and I was also doing the projections for that Freedom High. I mean, that is also a thing that I'd like to talk about. I mean, being a producer, yes, you create the budget and you pull your team of Avengers together, and you make sure that everybody gets paid, but also, you know, you help out where you can. You're ironing like costumes, you are doing a coffee round, tea round. You're trying to create an environment in which everybody can deliver their skill and craft, and I feel as a producer you're trying to facilitate the work. Yeah, so now we're in lockdown, but we're still working on projects. One of the things is Imagination, which is a project by Theatre Centre and Theatre 503. We're recording readings of a couple of scripts that they've commissioned. It's open to anyone who wants to join in that. Go to their website. We are also supporting Asian Pirate Musical, which is just a joyous gift that has been created by a massive team, and I'm gonna name them all, and I'm unfortunately gonna massacre some last names, sorry. So Asian Pirate Musical has been created by Nima Martin, Suning Chang, Zana, Sarita Lewis, Jade Lam, Kariskul, Freykwa Hawking, and we'll be sharing parts of the creation process online and on our new website, which is coming soon, papergang.co.uk, which is currently being created by the wonderful John Chan from Ghost and Ghost and John, sorry. Oh, thank you for people commenting lovely things. Yeah, so that is the thing that we are working on. We also have things in the pipeline around Black Lives Matter and trying to encourage conversations in our own communities around race. And I think it's really important that we look at ourselves to see what we can do and how we can support each other. Because even though Papergang is set up for the East Asian community, we obviously don't just live in that bubble. We need to support all the other communities. There is enough space at the table. We can all work together, and that is something that I believe really strongly in, to connect to other groups as well, and see how we can support each other. We have about 5 minutes left, so if people have questions, and otherwise I'm just gonna waffle on. There's another thing that I'd like to promote is like if there are people who are looking for audition monologues for actors of color, Hear Me Now is a great book full of monologues by writers of color, which I can recommend. It's edited by Titi Dawudu, and she herself is a wonderful woman and an inspiration, and I'd like you to look her up. We sorry, just looking at the comments. Thank you. You can follow us / me at Papergang Theatre on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find us on Twitter at PapergangTC. I also like to remind you that this session is on every Tuesday and Thursday now. It used to be every day, but now it's every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. So yeah, my name is Clarissa, and I've talked a bit about how I went from training as a performer, then became interested in writing, and then rolled into producing, and then kind of set up my own company as part of a collective. Yes, thank you for joining me in this journey and this session. If there's anything else you'd like to ask us, do find us on the socials. Thank you for sharing the links to the things I've mentioned, Shadi. Yeah, find me on the socials. I'm really willing to engage in conversation and in any questions that you might have. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And yes, I think we'll leave it here.